Starfire vs Blaze has come and gone. Did it go how I expected? Yeah. Do we still have a lot to talk about?
You goddamn right!
Because this fight exposed Starfire's one true Achilles heel, the one thing that is constantly holding her back. So let's talk about it. Before getting into the meat and potatoes of the video, I just want to go ahead and say this right off the bat. The whole video was amazing from beginning to end. Josh and his wife Ari clearly have a deep love for both characters, and they didn't let any of their individual biases get in the way of their research or the outcome of the fight. The research and analysis was top notch. The fight itself was well choreographed, well paced, and well animated. The voice acting, sound effects, original music, the whole creative team just did the damn thing. All of them deserve all of the praise and support, whether you agree with the outcome of the fight or not. And to say that I enjoyed the video would be an understatement. Blaze opens up with a nice fury, but it's blocked by Starfire's Starbolt fields. Then she unleashes a Starbolt volley of her own, but Blaze is too fast for her. Blaze grabs a hold of some weird shit and drills underground, comes back up, but is kicked by a massive thigh by Starfire. Blaze is momentarily overcome by her fear of heights, which makes absolutely no sense. Now she's wearing a red coat, which means she means business, folks. Starfire has her sights set on the sun itself. She's planning on using its power to finish off Blaze, but Blaze comes back. She's not going down easy. She shoots a Kamehameha-style blast at Koriander from Tamaran. Burning Blaze versus Blue Lantern Starfire. It's an all-out war. It's a slobber knocker for the ages. Who's gonna win? But let's go ahead and get into what you guys are really here for. The breakdown of the fight itself and its outcome. And dive into the actual problems with Starfire's very character that ultimately resulted in her loss. In the post-fight analysis, each combatant was judged in 5 areas: power, abilities, speed, skill, and experience. Blaze won decisively in speed with a slight edge in power, while Starfire had far better skills and had a small advantage in experience. The deciding factor came down to the abilities section. Blaze just had way too many different ways to widen the gap between herself and Starfire, such as using the Soul Emeralds and being able to travel through dimensions easily. She also had several ways that she could have quickly ended the fight that Starfire had no way to counter at all, such as ring time. She also could have just straight up trapped Starfire inside of her own soul, like she did Iblis, but she really didn't have to go that far either. The fact that Blaze and the Soul Emeralds come from a different dimension also means that Starfire's UV absorption wouldn't directly be a counter to her powers. Not only that, but the Soul Emerald's energy are completely foreign to our universe. There's a chance that her system would reject them outright. Kinda like having a blood transfusion or organ transplant from a person's body that's way too different than your own. AKA, you're done, son. And that's ultimately how Blaze won the fight. It was Starfire's own absorption that did her in. Either because the power of burning Blaze was too much for Kori and it overloaded her internal absorption receptors, or whatever they would be called. DC refuses to go deep into Tamaranian physiology. Put a pin in that, it'll be relevant later. But whether that was the reason for the overload, or if it was just too much of a foreign entity, Starfire just couldn't take the power that she had absorbed, and she ended up self-destructing in a massive supernova. So in the end, Blaze only just barely won. I do think it was a fair match, one that was very close, but I think there's a deeper reason why Kori ended up losing this fight. Once again, this is an example of DC utterly misusing and shafting one of their best characters. This massive ball drop on DC's part manifests itself in 2 ways, one of which Josh himself highlighted in their video and even in my own comment section back in my pre-fight video. Starfire's feats are very hard to keep track of due to the fact that DC consistently writes her inconsistently in and out of the comics. Josh and Ari also made note of how often Starfire loses, to the point where she loses against foes that are far beneath her own power level. It's one thing to consistently lose or struggle against characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, and Darkseid, But then you have people like Deathstroke shooting her out of the sky with regular ass guns. Granted, he is one of DC's best assassins, if not the best assassin in the DC universe. So it's not hard to conceive of him bringing some ammo that's strong enough to damage a Tamaranian. Their first fights were very early on in Starfire's existence, and Wolfman and Perez potentially just didn't know how strong they wanted Starfire to actually be. And yet she's strong enough to fly against a universe-ending storm that's sucking in everything in the DC universe? She's flown into and out of black holes, fought against some of her most powerful friends like Raven and Donna Troy. How the fuck is she being hurt by regular ass guns?
It don't make sense.
The only logical reason I can come up for this is the second manifestation of DC dropping this ball. The fact that Starfire, as a team-focused character, just hasn't had a lot of opportunities to be better fleshed out with impressive feats that can't just be attributed to one-off events. Even though Blaze is part of Sonic's overall ally and friend roster, she's also a character who operates more on a solo level, who partners up with one or two people at a time, like Silva or Sonic. So she has way more opportunities to shine all on her own, versus Starfire, who's usually crammed into a team of at least 6 or 7 other people. When characters are designed to be part of a team, they're created from the ground up to function in a team dynamic. Starfire's never spent more than a few months in her own individual storyline, where she was the only one that she could rely on. That's even been the case for Storm a lot of times, which is why her current solo series is so refreshing and actually crucial to her growth as a character, in my opinion. Imagine if the same thing were done to Starfire. If we got to see, for example, just how much stronger she can be if she fights in her Berserker mode for an extended period of time. How much more durable would she be? Or let's say they brought back the koriander, for example, and fleshed that out so that it's more of an actual transformation that increased her damage output or the range of her starbolts or supernova, so that you could clearly see that she's not just a stellar level or planetary level threat, but a galactic, universal, or even multiversal level threat. Or what if we went even further and established a real solid connection to Zal that was strong enough to let her become a being of pure energy, one who could exist and travel across different dimensions similar to how Blaze can do, one who could survive physical destruction and remanifest a new body, or allow her to interact with foreign energies that aren't even from this universe. And that's only scratching the tip top of the iceberg of what could happen if Kori were actually given proper attention from DC. But she's not. I mean, the fact that they had Starfire go full Blue Lantern, it's something that's been kicked around by fans, but DC clearly has no desire to have her actually tap into being any type of lantern, even though it's one of the more obvious choices for Starfire's character. But I know a truly OP character when I see one. I don't care how unassuming they look. And when I took a glance at what Blaze was capable of and compared it to what I knew Starfire was capable of in actual DC canon, I knew that this would be a hard-won battle at best for our alien warrior hippie princess. Do you agree with the outcome, or do you disagree? If you had a chance to write Starfire vs. Blaze, how would you have Kori come out on top? Let me know in the comments below. And after that, click on this video right here to get more alien warrior hippie princess in your life. And until next time, you best keep on simping.